Graders, we're going to talk about example 3 in section 8.1. I've pretty much tipped my card for this one. This will be a very, very short video. We are identifying the direction of a parabola. We're trying to determine, is there a way to know if it'll open up or open down? Is there a way, before we graph it, to be able to tell? And the answer is yes, and I alluded to it in the previous video on graphing. So I'm going to reiterate that today. Basically, first thing you need to do is make sure that your equation has y all by itself. It needs to be in standard form. Standard form is when y is by itself, okay? So let's make that a priority. Let's make sure it's in standard form, okay? So let's look at letter A, y equals 4x squared. Is it in standard form? What I mean by that is y by itself on one side. Yes, it is. Wonderful. Then we can go on to the next step. A is the number that's in front of your x squared. So in this case, in letter A, little a is 4. Okay? If the coefficient A, which is in front of your x squared, is a number that's bigger than 0. In other words, it's positive. It's a positive number. Then it's going to open up. If A is a number smaller than 0, which means it's a negative number, then your parabola is going to open down. Okay? All right, so let's take a look. A is 4. So what that tells me is the parabola is going to open up. 4 is a positive number. This parabola, if I were to graph it right this second, would open up. Okay, let's look at B. Now, first thing you got to do, is that in standard form? Can't look at it right. Can't look at A right this second because it's a little misleading. Y is not by itself, so we need to do a little bit of fancy footwork. We need to move the 2x squared. We got to move that to the other side. How would you do that? Right, subtract 2x squared from each side. Okay, so here's what it would look like. Y equals negative 2x squared plus 5. Now look at A. Now look at the A. Look at the number in front of your x squared. It's negative, so that means this parabola, if I were to graph this, would open down. Okay? So I'm going to leave C and D as extra credit possibilities for you. So remember, it's 2 steps. Make sure y is by itself, then look at the number in front of your squared variable, and if it's positive, it's going to open up. If it's negative, it's going to open down. Okay, make sure you show your work and that you've rearranged the equation if needed and justify your answer. Okay, bring your questions to class tomorrow.